Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He talks about people looking for guidance, it's made very, very clear throughout the Quran that you have to take the initiative to look for guidance. And that guidance will not come to you if you are unwilling and undeserving. And that's why we have talab al-hidayah, we have the request for guidance constantly in our prayers. Every single time we read Surah Al-Fatiha, ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us to the straight path. And in the process of guiding us to it, make it more identifiable to us, and then allow us to be upon it, and then allow us to be firm upon it, and then allow us to follow sirat al-ladina an'amta alayhim, the path of those who have earned Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's favor. Who are those people? They are the prophets, the righteous ones, the companions. So, oh Allah, allow us to follow in their footsteps, and to grant us sincerity on that path, and to not let us deviate from that path. And so, this seeking of guidance is a noble pursuit that requires a certain type of willingness and dedication on our part. And subhanAllah, you often find that when people say they are lost, I'm lost, I don't know how to find myself, they're often not willing to put the striving in order to achieve that guidance. And I want to begin this actually with a paraphrased story. It's actually a famous story that I don't have time to go into detail with, but it's the story of Abdullah ibn Salam radiallahu ta'ala anhu, who was the chief rabbi of Al-Madinah before the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to Al-Madinah, and who embraced Islam instantly upon seeing the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The sincerity of his heart led to the sincerity of his intellectual pursuits, led to the sincerity of the longing of the heart for the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and so he had no objections when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam arrived in Medina and immediately dedicated himself to it. Abdullah ibn Salam radiallahu anhu had this dream about himself, where in short, he found himself in a garden, and in that garden there was a pole, and at the top of the pole there was this handhold, and he was told to ascend and to grab onto that handhold, and he wasn't able to. And so when he asked the angel about his inability to reach it, the angel helped him to ascend and essentially took him up to that handhold where he grabbed onto it, and he does not let go. He wakes up while holding on to this handhold all the way at the top. And the Prophet ﷺ mentioned to him that as for this garden, that is the garden of Islam and the garden of Al-Jannah, and this handhold is al-urwatul wuthqa that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about, the steady handhold, that grip that you have that does not break. And subhanAllah, it's very telling that it's all the way at the top. Now I want you to stay with me for a bit, inshaAllah ta'ala. There's al-urwatul wuthqa, the imagery of a man that is, holding on to the top, all the way at the top of the garden, holding on to something that is otherwise inaccessible. So that's one image I want in your head. The other image is a very deep internal image. أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. Is it not in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that hearts find satisfaction, tranquility, stillness? Yaskun. It is peaceful. And subhanAllah, that is, a spiritual image that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us of something very deep and internal that only He can truly see. Al-qulub, the heart. And then you have a very vivid image of an external, of a person holding on to a grip, a handhold that is all the way at the top of a garden, otherwise inaccessible. Now, if you look at the opposite of that, you find the descriptions of a heart that is distracted, a heart that is in turmoil, a heart that never finds peace within and never settles upon anything and is all over the place. And you also find another image that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us in Surah Al-Hajj. حُنَفَاءَ لِلَّهِ غَيْرَ مُشْرِكِينَ بِهِ. Allah Azza wa Jal mentions people that are monotheists and they don't associate partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَنْ يُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ فَكَأَنَّمَا خَرَّ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ. And the one who associates partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala,